Hello YouTubers. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about variables and introduce a little concept called the if statements in programming languages. You're going to use if statements through your entire life as long as you're writing code. If statements are very important, but let's go back a little bit to what we talked about in the last video and just go over variables. I would assume by now you have clicked up the link where we talk about the primitive types and variables, and you tried to learn about that. If you didn't, you need to fix that. These courses are not gonna, try to, give you all the information, but rather give you pointers, to try to understand what you need to look into, and you need to do some reading on your own. You need to have that incentive and motivation inside that pushes you to want to learn more things, right? So these are pretty much 5 minutes videos to give you just some pointers so you know where to start and what to look at. We back to the variables part. It's very important to understand that when you're using variables, do not create variables if you're going to use their values only once. For instance, if I have a string variable that's called message, it's called hello world, and I'm only using that message in here only once, it doesn't make sense to define a variable if you're only going to use its value once. You are better off, and you'd be more professional, just taking that value like this and just throw it in the message and get rid of the variable. That makes it a lot easier. But if you're going to use the value of that message multiple times, then that's different. It's different in the sense that, you could go and say, if my message equals hello world, then do something. Say console. See how I moved that line there? That's alt arrow. Else it's something else, like this. So what I'm basically saying, I'm checking the value of the message in here and then I'm writing it out. Yeah, that's a good case. So when I run my application, if the message is hello world, it goes ahead and changes that. If it's not, then something else, right? Let's see why it's something else. Because these two values are not the same. There's an extra space in here. Programming is very particular about that. So you want to, and there is an exclamation in here. There you go. So now, hello world. So what did I do there? I used an if statement. What is that? What is that, an if statement? It's a way for you to control the flow of your program. Do not look at the program for a second and think with me. If you're writing a program that will take input from people, right? And you want to have a condition. You want to say, if people said that or accessed my program this way, do something. Otherwise, do it that way. So you're giving your program, you're teaching your program to understand how to react towards different ways of input. You know what I'm saying? So let's take a better example. Let's say I'm getting in an input from the user. So input equal, let's say we're asking our user here to write a number or enter a number, right? So we're asking our user to give us a number, and you're saying console.readLine. So this is how I'm getting an input from my user. ReadLine returns a string. It's a function that returns a string. So you want to say input, this is my input in here, right? There is something interesting here about variables. So if you say, let's say the number that the person passed to you is you wanna see if the number is bigger than 0 or lesser than 0. So you want to convert a string value into a value that your program can access as a number. So this is why I was talking to you about integers. So number in here will be something that you parse. You want to convert that string into an integer so you can run some arithmetic operations on it, right? So I'm passing in input. So now that input that's coming from the user becomes a number. And then I'm saying if this number is bigger than 0, then print out number is bigger than 0. Else number is not bigger than 0. Right? Can we do that? Let's try that out. Write a number. So if I put 5, it'll say number is bigger than 0. Let's try that again with something smaller than 0. Let's say -1. Number is not bigger than 0. So you see how you interacted with your program? Your assignment would be, we need to put here cases when the number is equivalent to 0 and when the number is smaller than 0. So I want to print a message there that says, okay, the number that you passed in is equivalent, equals 0, and the number is smaller than 0. How do you put these conditions in here? Think about the problem. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, please leave it in the comment section here in this YouTube video. And don't forget to subscribe and like my video. Thank you for watching.